Please, just let Halloween end. The supposed last film in the Halloween franchise, lucky number 13, is finally here, and you can go see it in theaters and in Peacock. And I truly, truly hope that this is the last Halloween film that we get for a long, long time. Is that because Halloween Ends is a sterling finale worthy of praise, or an absolute dumpster fire? I'm going to use my ease review system to break it down for you. And don't worry, there won't be any spoilers. That's a job for the trailers. Halloween End takes place in 2022, 4 years after Michael's last reign of terror. We do make a quick stop in 2019 at the very beginning of the film because there is no more iconic of a duo than Halloween and a flashback sequence. The flashback serves as a way of introducing some of the core themes of the film that we are about to watch, and we also get an introduction to a new character, Corey Cunningham. Fun. Halloween Ends is largely concerned with legacy and the trauma that was inflicted by Michael on the overall community of Haddonfield. Over the course of the film, we get to see how many different people were affected by Michael's night of terror and how they choose to now live their lives, or not live their lives. It's those deep scars that eventually lead to the murders resuming, and that's about all I can really say without getting into major spoiler territory. This is going to be a difficult film to talk about in detail, but that's not going to stop me from telling you how much effort I think was put into this film. And to be frank, I think Halloween Ends is the epitome of a film that was rushed. The first act of the film has all of the examples you will ever need to make this case. There are so many sequences where people are talking to other people and the lines that are coming out of their mouths are ridiculous on their own, but then when you listen what people are saying back to them after they deliver that initial line, you're wondering if these people are actually having the same conversation with each other. Maybe these conversations were actually much longer and they got cut down into much shorter and shorter sequences until eventually all attempts at making sense of what is going on is impossible. So from either a writing standpoint, an editing standpoint, a planning standpoint, any kind of standpoint, someone along the line just said, I don't give a good gosh darn about what this film is, I'm done for the day. But that might be okay. Halloween Ends certainly wouldn't be the first film that had not very great writing but was still able to deliver the scares, right? Well, they don't really put a lot of effort into that either. It actually seems like the effort of this film went into two very specific pools. That of these like romantic comedy conversations, these meet-cute moments that they try to put into the first act of the film that just fundamentally don't work, and a relationship built up between new character Corey Cunningham and Allison, Laurie Strode's granddaughter. So while this is a Halloween film in name, it seems like a lot of what we're getting is either romantic comedy stuff or romance stuff. And let me tell you, the romance stuff is some of the most low-effort bullshit that I have ever seen in a movie. Literally over the course of like 2 days, these two characters go from having never met before to being so in love that they are going to run away from Haddonfield and live brand new lives together. It's absolutely insane. After the film was over, the only thing that I could tweet about it was, holy shit, the Haddonfield dating pool must be really shallow. The only person here who seems like they're putting in any effort at all is Jamie Lee Curtis, and that's really only for the last half of the film, because we need to wait as an audience for her character to regress to become interesting. And if that is the way that your character arcs work, you've probably fundamentally failed in writing your film properly. But to the film's credit, they do put a fair amount of effort into the final confrontation between Laurie and Michael Myers. Whether you feel like this ending is worthy of the Halloween franchise as a whole, I will leave up to you. For my money, I will say it's better than probably the ending of Halloween Resurrection and Halloween Curse of Michael Myers, but barely. All right, that was a lot of talk about effort. Now let's move on to Audacity. How audacious was Halloween Ends? And I can safely say to you that Halloween Ends actually is pretty audacious. In fact, they do two very audacious things that I was not expecting. I went into this film having only seen the original teaser trailer. I didn't know much about it. I didn't really know what was going to be going on. And oh my goodness, did they throw me a couple of curveballs. Now, unfortunately, I cannot actually talk about them without getting into massive spoilers for the film. But what I can tell you is that when interviewed about this movie, Jamie Lee Curtis said something along the lines of, people are going to hate this movie. And yeah, I think that's fairly accurate. I think when people see this movie, they're going to be pissed. The longtime Halloween fans, the people who have posters hanging up behind them while they make YouTube videos about the new Halloween movie, yeah, they're going to be pissed about how this movie was handled. And it all comes down to these two big audacious swings that they take. I love it when filmmakers take audacious swings, but oh my god, can you please at least respect the material that you yourself wrote over the last two films? Is that too much to ask? It's honestly stunning that the creators chose to take this direction considering what they had laid the groundwork for in both Halloween and Halloween Kills. I don't know what else to say about it. It's audacious, but I don't think it's audacious in a good way. So now we're on to stimulation. What did Halloween Ends make me feel? And you would think that for a film that is part of a storied horror franchise, a slasher franchise, that they would try to make me feel scared, but also exhilarated by having lots of cool kills and stuff like that. And you know what? It's not a scary movie. Like I said before, it focuses a lot on these little bad romantic comedy bits and also on these melodramatic relationship bits, and it really only tries to be a slasher movie for the last like 30-40 minutes, and I think that is not a good way to go about making your slasher movie, everyone. There is no tension and there is no threat, and a lot of that has to do with one of the audacious decisions that they made that I tried to talk about in the last section but can't. In the effort section, I did talk a little bit about how the finale was kind of better, and I think part of that had to do with the fact that the tension starts to creep back into the film. I now am invested in the film because what happens in the finale, Laurie versus Michael Myers, is the thing that we've actually been building towards for the last 3 to 4 films if you want to go all the way back and count the 1978 first original best film. So for that finale, yeah, I had moved up a little bit in my seat, but aside from that, this movie left me feeling nothing. Actually, you know what? That's not true. This film did leave me feeling one other emotion that I was not expecting to feel going into it, and that was embarrassment. There were moments in this film where I was just flat out embarrassed by what I was seeing. I was embarrassed for the filmmakers. I was embarrassed for the people involved. I was embarrassed for the studio executives who would then have to go and explain to other people why they think this is a good movie. I have not covered my eyes in a horror film for decades at this point, but in Halloween Ends, I did, because I just could not stand to watch this train wreck. If you desperately want to experience cringe as an emotion, go see Halloween Ends. And now it's time to talk about the most important section, execution. And I have probably done a pretty terrible job of trying to keep my feelings out of this video so far, because execution, that's usually the place where I lay it all on the line and let you know if this is a good movie or not. But based on what I've said already and how I've been acting this whole time, I think you probably already know. It's entirely possible for a film to put in a lot of effort, be extremely stimulating, take lots of big swings, and then to absolutely fall flat in the realm of execution. Those are the films that are so bad that they are good. However, I think it's impossible for a film to be low effort, take big but stupid swings, and be not stimulating at all, at least not in a way that the filmmakers actually intend, and then come back to it and say, but yes, the execution was marvelous, because obviously it's not. From the story to the performances to the editing to everything about this film, it reeks of poor execution. It reeks of a cash grab. It reeks of people desperately trying to move on to their next project. No wonder NBC Universal dumped this thing onto Peacock the same day that it went to theaters, because they knew the terrible reviews would sink it, so you might as well get the diehards to sign up for your streaming service. I think the most damning thing that I can say about Halloween Ends is that it's not actually a Halloween film. This franchise is no stranger to movies being bad. I'm looking at you, Curse of Michael Myers and Resurrection, both films that I rated an F tier on my Halloween tier list, which, depending on when you watch this, is released. So if it is, you should watch it. But the thing about all of the bad Halloween films, even the Halloween 4s and 5s, they at least were Halloween films. They contained the essence of the franchise within them. Sometimes they are not executed well, and sometimes they are trying to set things up, which they probably shouldn't be trying to do, but in the end, they are functionally Halloween films. But I cannot say that about Halloween Ends. So I'm not going to belabor this anymore. If I were going to put Halloween Ends into a tier list, I would put it in the D tier, because that's all it really deserves. I cannot believe this is how they ended this run of films. I would love to hear what you thought about Halloween Ends in the comments down below. Am I super wrong in my opinion? I don't think so, but I want to hear your take. And also, if you're wondering what the best Halloween films are, then you should absolutely check out my tier list, which is right there. If it's out yet. If it's not out yet, then it's going to be something else.